From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. warned that contractors and officials found liable for major anomalies in flood control projects could face economic sabotage charges, saying that he is angry about how these anomalies have denied Filipinos of vital infrastructure and basic services.
I'm getting very angry. This is what's happening here. Hindi naman, paano naman, biruin mo, wala talaga, 220 meters, 55 billion, completed ang record ng Public Works. Walang ginawa, kahit isang araw hindi nagtrabaho, wala kang makita, puntahan ninyo, wala kayong makita kahit na ano. Tuloy-tuloy ang pagbaha doon sa kabila. So, yes. If all of these projects were properly executed and implemented, ang laki nang nawala na problema sana sa atin at sa mga taong bayan, at saka mas magiging maayos hanggang irrigation, hanggang water supply, fresh water supply for household. Pero ito yung ginagawa nila, talagang nakakapinsala pa sa mga local residents. So yes, I'm not disappointed, I'm angry.
The Commission on Audit, or COA, had already ordered a fraud probe of all flood control projects in Bulacan Province, which got the majority of funds in Central Luzon from 2022 to 2025. This comes after President Marcos announced in his July State of the Nation Address, or SONA, that he will conduct a comprehensive audit of all multi-billion peso flood control projects. The President said that his legal team would investigate the COA findings and is seriously considering charges.
As I said, ang trato namin with all of this is, siyempre marami na. For example, falsification na ito. Yung ganito, dahil nag-report sila na completed. Hindi, kitang-kita naman na hindi completed. So immediately, that's a falsification. So that's already a very big violation. And for the big ones, talagang I'm thinking very hard to pipilahan natin sila na economic sabotage, because economic sabotage is very clearly tignan natin yung utang ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas, ng Republika, ay mababawasan kung naging maayos lahat itong kasi ngayon babalikan na natin ngayon to, saan napunta yung pera, hahabulin natin, kakasuhan natin sila, how long will that take? Hindi ba? In the meantime, we have to actually still build the flood control project.
He also advised the public to continue reporting abnormalities in flood control projects via the Sumbong sa Pangulo website.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is gathering evidence before taking action on apparent inconsistencies in flood control projects. Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary, and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro highlighted the significance of basing measures on reliable data. Castro further said that the purported relationships between the top 15 contractors and senators, including Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo, would be probed. Castro said that President Marcos will hold all parties involved in anomalies in the implementation of flood mitigation projects regardless of status accountable.
At patungkol naman po doon sa mga top 15 contractors na di umano may kaugnayan sa mga senador, katulad ni Senator Bongo, paiimbestigahan naman po ito. Katulad na sinabi ng Pangulo, malapit man, kaibigan man, malapit sa kanyang puso, kung nakakasama sa mga anomalyang katulad nito, ito po ay paiimbestigahan at pananagutin ang dapat managot. Yan po ang gagawin po ng Pangulo. sa kanyang pag-iimbestiga, kinakailangan po na may managot. At ninanais din po niya na makumpleto ang bawat ebidensya. Mahirap magturo lamang nang hindi mapapatunayan. Magsasayang lamang po ng oras. Kaya kinakailangan po ng Pangulo ng masinsinang pag-iimbestiga patungkol dito.
PCO Undersecretary Castro also responded to a recent comment by former Public Works Secretary Rogelio Singson, who accused the present administration of ignoring the flood management master plans developed during the Aquino era. She emphasized that current Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan did not get a master plan from his predecessor, Senator Mark Villar.
Nadinig po rin natin yan at tinanong po din natin si Secretary Bonoan kung na-turn over ba itong mga sinasabing master plan. Sa kanyang pagkakaalam at sinabi po sa atin kanina ay wala rin po siya natanggap. Walang natanggap na turnover mula kay then Secretary DPWH Secretary Mark Villar, si Secretary Bonoan.
President Marcos is doing a number of inspections in regions where flood control projects are reportedly being carried out, including many municipalities in Bulacan province. During the site inspections, he voiced dismay at what he called ghost projects and threatened to hold these responsible for any violations.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang conveyed elation as the Philippines approaches upper middle income status, highlighting the government's efforts to drive economic growth and development. Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro made the remarks in response to Department of Economy, Planning and Development or DepDev Secretary Arsenio Balisacan's claim that the Philippines is on the verge of reaching upper middle income status. Castro added Balisacan said that the country is only $26 away from meeting the benchmark. She said that the President Marcos administration is confident that the Philippines would reach the milestone this year.
Of course, masaya po ang palasyo dahil nakikita po natin ang pagtatrabaho ng administrasyon para po mapaganda ang ating ekonomiya. At ang sabi nga rin po ni Secretary Balisacan ay $26 na lamang po ang kulang at hoping po na nito pong taon na to, 2025 ay maa-attain na po natin to at pero malalaman po natin ito sa July 2026.
Thank you.
So, tignan po na lang natin.
Balisacan previously reported that the Philippines has met its gross national income or GNI per capita targets for both 2023 and 2024, and that it is only $26 short of being an upper middle income country. He added that the Philippines economy remained Asia's fastest growing from 2023 to the first quarter of 2025.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang welcomed the European Union's or EU conclusion to drop the Philippines from its list of high-risk third countries for money laundering and terrorist funding, citing increased worldwide confidence in the country's financial system. Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the development underscores the Marcos administration's ongoing efforts to tighten financial safeguards and attract more foreign finance. She said that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has urged the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP to intensify measures that will strengthen the banking system and boost economic growth. The European Commission enacted a law on June 10 that removes the Philippines and 7 other nations from its high-risk list effective August 5. The delisting comes after other milestones this year when the Financial Action Task Force or FATF removed the Philippines from its gray list in February and the United Kingdom removed Manila from its high-risk list in March. The Philippines was placed on the FATF Grey List in June 2021, resulting in inclusion in EU and UK advisories. As a result, banks and corporate entities in member nations impose stronger client due diligence requirements on the country. According to the BSP, the EU's decision is a clear sign that the administration's reforms are delivering results. She emphasized that the central bank would continue to advocate for long-term anti-money laundering policies to ensure the country's progress.
Pilipinas, wala na sa listahan ng high-risk third countries ng European Union. Ibig sabihin lang nito ay patuloy ang paglakas ng anti-money laundering at anti-terrorism financing measures ng bansa. Ayon na rin sa utos ni Pangulong Marcos Jr., lalo pang pag-iigihin ng BSP ang mga reforma upang palakasin ang ating financial system na siya namang magsusulong ng economic growth and global confidence. Dagdag pa ng pamunuan ng BSP, senyales ito na gumagana ang mga hakbang ng Administrasyong Marcos Jr. para palakasin ang kumpiyansa ng mga international investors sa bansa. Bukod sa mas maraming potential investors ang maaaring maengganyo na mamuhunan sa bansa, posible ring bumaba ang remittance fees at mas gumanda pa ang relasyon sa pagitan ng ating local banks at ang kanilang foreign counterparts. Hindi naman ito nagtatapos. Ang tungkulin ng Bangko Sentral, ipagpapatuloy nito ang pagpapatibay sa ating anti-money laundering reforms para sa long-term progress ng bansa.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang raised alarm on Wednesday about the proposed bill mandating drug testing for all public officials, warning that it may violate the law and the Constitution. This was in response to Senator Robin Padilla's demand that all government officials, regardless of rank or position, be drug tested. Castro said that the legislation, while intended to promote openness and drug-free government, may not pass judicial examination. Referencing the 2008 Supreme Court SC judgment in Social Justice Society versus Dangerous Drugs Board, Castro argued that mandatory and universal drug testing for public officials is unconstitutional and violates the right to privacy. The Supreme Court held that comprehensive drug testing violates the right to privacy and can only be conducted at random and under appropriate conditions. Castro cautioned that pressing for mandatory drug testing without understanding its legal foundation could squander government resources.
So ang nais po ni Senator Robin Padilla ay lahat ng
Elected
public
officials
at public officers. Sana po ay nabasa niya na po ang desisyon ng korte patungkol po dito. Social Justice Society versus Dangerous Drugs Board 2008, kung saan hindi po hinahayaan at ito ay labag sa konstitusyon at sa privacy kung lahat po, pag sinabi po natin lahat, universal testing, mandatory universal or universal testing. Ang allowed lamang po ay ang random drug testing. So baka magsayang lang po ng oras at pera, pondo, si Senator Robin Padilla. Aralin po muna niya po ang nais niyang gawing batas.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang deemed Vice President Sara Duterte's tenure as Education Secretary a complete failure after she attacked the Philippines' underperforming educational system. In a news briefing, Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary, and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said Duterte's remark that the country is still locked in paper and pencil learning methods reflects her failings while directing the Department of Education or DepEd. Castro assured the public that Education Secretary Juan Edgardo Sani Angara is now cleaning up the mess and pushing long-delayed reforms, such as the distribution of more than 1 million laptops, gadgets, and teaching materials purchased in 2020 but only used in 2024 under his leadership.
Binigyan po siya ng pagkakataon, pinagtiwalaan siya ng Pangulo since 2022 hanggang 2024 para maging DepEd Secretary. 2 taon halos na siya ay dapat nagtrabaho. Kung ano man ang kanyang nireklamo, dapat natupad na po sana niya ito sa kanyang panahon. Ang pagtitiwalang ito ay sa kanyang reklamo ngayon, nagre-reflect lamang na bilang siya ay naging DepEd Secretary ay a complete failure. At huwag pong mag-alala mga mag-aaral at mga guro at mga teaching staff, ang ating DepEd Secretary, Secretary Angara, ay nililinis naman kung ano man ang dumi na iwan nung nakaraan. At komodernizasyon lamang ang pinag-uusapan natin, yung 1,500,000 na mga gadgets, laptops, at ibang mga teaching materials ay ginawa naman na po ng paraan ni Secretary Angara na nakabinbin lamang noong pang 2020 na hindi nagamit. So 2024 lamang ito nasa sa ayos ni Secretary Angara.
When Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. assumed office on June 30, 2022, he appointed Duterte as Education Secretary. She resigned in June 2024.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said that making public of government officials' foreign travel records is at their discretion despite growing calls for transparency on trips abroad. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro pointed out that all of Vice President Sara Duterte's foreign excursions have been approved with necessary travel authorization. However, she stressed that publishing specific details is up to the concerned officials. Duterte recently flew to Paris after an official visit to Kuwait. She has allegedly taken 11 foreign visits this year, compared to at least 5 for Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. The Vice President had previously urged MPs who were critical of her travel schedule to provide their own official travel records in order to answer public queries. The palace official said that Marcos' travels are always made public, with the palace disclosing investment pledges and tourism earnings from each engagement.
Yung travel po ng Vice Presidente, natuloy din po yung sa Kuwait. Yan naman po ay may travel authority. So, hindi naman po siya mapipigilang umalis sa mga araw na gusto niyang umalis. So, clear naman po yun. May travel authority po. Obligasyon naman po nila yun. Kung gusto po nilang ilabas, basta po ang Pangulo kapag ka po lumalabas, alam naman po ng media. At pinapaalam po at nagre-report ng kanyang mga pangyayari at kanyang maaaring nakakuha ng mga investments at para sa mga turismo. Nagre-report po ang Pangulo.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will accept Jaime Santiago's irrevocable resignation as Director of the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI. Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro made a statement in a press briefing. In a letter to Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, on August 15, Santiago said that he was giving his irrevocable resignation effective immediately upon the nomination of his replacement. Santiago said in his resignation letter that detractors and those who have sinister interest in his position is incessantly make moves to besmirch his reputation. Castro said that no additional information on Santiago's potential successor had been made public. She did, however, promise the public that NBI operations and services would not be jeopardized by Santiago's resignation. This came after she was questioned about ongoing NBI investigations, notably the case of missing sabongeros.
NBI director, yung resignation po niya, for acceptance. Hindi po na ipaalam sa atin sa ngayon kung sila nagkausap, pero ang irrevocable resignation ni NBI director ay for acceptance. Marami naman pong mga tao pa rin po na may kredibilidad at maaasahan at mapagkakatiwalaan. Sila pa rin po ay patuloy na nagtatrabaho para dito.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
The News and Information Bureau, or NIB, an attached agency of the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, has been named one of the government's top performers in the 2024 Agency Performance Review, or APR, by the Department of Budget and Management, or DBM. The DBM revealed the APR data via its Budget ng Bayan monitor. Out of 308 agencies evaluated, just 14 obtained a outstanding rating, including the NIB Civil Service Commission, Mines and Geosciences Bureau, Foreign Service Institute, Public Attorney's Office, National Labor Relations Commission, and the Philippine Information Agency. Other top-performing agencies include the National Wages and Productivity Commission, the Games and Amusements Board, the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, and 4 state universities: Biliran Province State University, Cagayan State University, Davao del Sur State College, and President Ramon Magsaysay University. The National Information Bureau, or NIB, is responsible for providing efficient and effective information services to the government, particularly the President. It creates and implements domestic and international information campaigns and strategies to promote major government policies. The Bureau also oversees the Philippine News Agency, the government's official newswire service. DBM Undersecretary Rolando Toledo stated that agencies were evaluated based on physical and financial performance, as well as the timeliness and quality of filed reports. The fiscal year 2024 APR findings showed 59.34% of agencies graded very satisfactory, 30.82% satisfactory, 4.92% unsatisfactory, and 0.33% poor performance. Only 4.59% or 14 agencies received an outstanding grade. The APR attempts to improve accountability and transparency in government performance while also ensuring the public money are administered efficiently in accordance with Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s administration reforms.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, for Dateline Malacañang, overseas Filipino workers or OFWs will be unaffected by the upcoming increases in passenger service charge, PSC, and other fees at Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA, next month. This is according to the airport operator. By September of this year, PSC will be 950 pesos for international travel, up from 550 pesos previously, and 390 pesos from 200 pesos for local flights, the first increase in over 20 years to sustain airport renovations. According to the new NAIA Infra Corporation, or NNIC, the modified prices will remain below inflation-adjusted values of 1,300 pesos to 1,400 pesos and 480 pesos to 520 pesos respectively had the fees cap pace since 2000. The Asian Development Bank, or ADB, which serves as the government's advisor, also examined the rates. Since taking over operations at the country's main gateway in September 2024, the NNIC claims to have renovated restrooms, installed new air conditioning systems, restored elevators and escalators, installed new gang chairs and baggage trolleys, improved Wi-Fi and closed-circuit televisions or CCTVs, and built wider curbside lanes. Other enhancements include a centralized transportation network vehicle service or TNVS center, an OFW lounge with rest places, automated parking, a dignitaries lounge, additional shuttle bases and ambulances, and new employee cafeteria. A biometric passenger processing system is set to be implemented next month.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacañang.